one day the director of the camp said, "Would you lead this song?" And I realized that this was going to be boring until it was just till things started flying. I thought I'll pick up this kid and I'll wave him around. And I was 280
Yeah, that's
pounds,
right.
6'8", and I'd grab him by his ankle and wave him around, and take off a pair of shoes and throw him out the window. And just it got, and then it got crazier and crazier and crazier. And, being that, um, again, one of the things I realized about myself along the way was that I'm not, there are a lot of iterations of me. Okay. There are a lot of, and the five major places along the continuum. On the right-hand side is the artist. Okay. The creator, the poet, the person who likes to be the singer, the songwriter. The next stage over is the minister. And that's the helper. That's the carer. That's the caretaker. The middle place for me is my teacher. That's what I am. I'm a teacher. It's just, I'm a damn teacher.
Yeah.
The next stage over is my cowboy. Okay. And the cowboy likes to get at, no more rules. Let's get out of Dodge. Let's do this. Let's have some fun. Let's just go wild. And the last
Yeah.
stage over is the warrior. And the warrior says, if we have to stand up and fight for what we have to fight for, we have to stand up for, this is wrong. This is not right.
Right.
And so I realized, because a camp becomes a reflection of yourself as a director. And I realized that a lot of camps just hit one place, especially the competitor or but I realized if we're doing this well, then I'm going to provide kids an opportunity to be all those different things, all the way from their warrior to their creator, to their poet, back to the cowboy, back to the this, and so that's what you really want to do, is give kids all those. And to do that, one of my favorite expressions always is, if you want to see a man, you have to be him. If you want to be a man, you have to see a man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can't tell them how to do it. You have to show them how to do it.
Right.
And, so-
Right.
and as an extension of that, some of the best moments I ever had as a camp director teaching boys was when I was in tears. And
Wow.
I'd be giving a talk at chapel or something else, and something would just hit me, and I just cry.
Yeah.
And these kids would look up and see, here's Barnes, again, 280 pounds, 6
Right.
8. If it's like Rosie Greer, if Barnes can cry, I can cry.
Yeah.
And so really those moments were just, I never regretted them. It gave kids permission to be things they didn't necessarily have permission to be in their normal life. And it also said, be the person you want to be, because this is who you are. And we will love you for that. And that's what camp is about. You come be the person you want to be, and we'll love you for that. So I have a kind of a mantra, which is show up, pay attention, tell the truth, and release the outcome. And those things have served me very well. But telling the truth is not easy. And what it's come down to me is, if I'm going to speak my truth, there's a difference between speaking my truth and telling the truth. Speaking my truth involves saying, here's what I see, here's what I think when I see that, and here's what I feel when I think that. And that's it. And there's no argument to it, because I'm not telling you anything about your reality. I'm not telling you what you think or feel, or I'm just saying, when I see this, here's what I say to myself. And when I say that, here's what I think. And then I'm clear. And it's very lovely to be able to speak your truth. And it's been a joy. I mean, it's part of what makes this part of my life so nice, is that there are not a lot of relationships I have to go clean up. When I got there, as I say, it was, I stepped off the bus as a 7-year-old who didn't really know what was going on. And there were all of a sudden, I was in this community of men who were acting with integrity and with love. And they were strong, but they weren't overbearing. They weren't interested. They didn't let me get away with stuff.
Yeah.
But they didn't do it critically. They just says, we just don't do that here. Or, it's no, I mean,
Yeah.
that's not how we handle that. and they laughed and they had fun and they understood fart jokes and they understood, roughhousing, and they understood all those things, and they participated in that with you and celebrated your little, whether it was a bed made well or, whether you went up a mountain, they celebrated you. They saw you. See, the Rufus, they saw you. I was seen, and I came to camp and I'd be seen, and then I'd go home and I wouldn't be seen anymore.
Right.
And then I would come back to camp and I'd be seen again. It was nourishing. And see, for me, is then I kept coming back and took 5 years off because we moved to California at one point. But Lanakil is, when I learn something, and I would call myself a pretty voracious learner. I love to learn, especially about human behavior.
Yeah.
And anything I learned, I could immediately put it into practice with a community of 270 people. So if I learned something about truth, or I learned something about honesty, or I learned something about fear, I can immediately find a way to put that in the mix and watch people. Oh, wow, I hadn't thought about that. I'm here to help you learn so that we can keep this beautiful dream going. We can keep this beautiful place alive. And it's not going to do it unless we each help each other pass that information along institutionally and individually. And it's so funny because, when people get there, the 16-year-olds think they're about the hottest thing that ever lived. And the 18-year-olds think they're so cool. And the 21-year-olds are just graduating from college and they think they're just the best. And then the 30, and you give it about 2 or 3 days during pre-camp, and like it all sort. Okay, you're 16. You're not 18. You're 18. You're not 21. There's always somebody above you that's got more experience, and you are cool, but you're not 21, and it sorts itself out so nicely. And then the
Yeah.
16-year-old can be a 16-year-old. He doesn't have to be a 21-year-old. He can just be a damn 16-year-old, which most 16, and get treated with respect and do a real job and get trusted with responsibility. That freaks them out. These are real jobs. They're really responsible for things that are, that could cause problems. And when you turn to a 16-year-old, they walk into your office, say, "What do you think I should do about this?" And you say, "Well, I don't know. Why don't you make that decision?" And they look at you like, "Holy crap. This guy just said me." Nobody ever turned to me in school and says, "Why don't you make that decision?" Oh my God. And it just builds and builds and builds and builds. And as director, what I realized my job was, and I think this is true for people in general, is you have a chance in a day to do 100 nice things for people. Just 100 nice things for people. You have that position and the power to be able to make that happen. And what a joy. What a joy for you, what a joy for them. And you don't lose any. I used to say to the staff, you know how much power I have? I have enough power to give every one of you in this room the power you need, and I still have power left over. That's how much power I have. And it's not a finite amount of power that I have to hold on to. And so I want to empower you to do what you want to do. And I want you to do something and then to go back to the why again. And the why, because our overall goal as a camp, and it has been since 1922, is to help create fine people. That's your job. One of the things that I've learned recently is about doing the right thing. And I realized that the right thing always takes more time, always costs more money, and it's always harder.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
It's doing the right thing always is those three things. So I want to say to people, okay, well, except for those three things, why would we not do the right thing? Because it's just a given. It's always harder. It's always costs more money, and it always takes more time in the short term. But in the long term, if you stay around long enough, you see the benefits of this. You see the payoff. You see oh my God, aren't we glad we did this? Aren't we glad we did this? So yeah, it's fun. It's fun to push people to do the right thing and to have the ability as a leader to say, we haven't got this yet. No, we keep working on this. This doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel like who we are. But what? Well, we got to do this. Well, no, we don't got to do anything. We got to get it right, and let's work at that. And then you finally get it right, and you go, oh my God, that was really worth the energy. And people feel good. They experience the wonderful feeling that comes from doing something right and treating people the right way, and that then they never want to go back. They never want to go back. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
They can't do it. It was the job I was meant to do, Rufus. It was when you hit it, I pray that my vocation and my avocation may so unite as my two eyes and sight. And that's what it was for me, that just was, it was my life. It was my chance to do good. It was my opportunity to learn and to take that learning and pass it on. It was my opportunity to be the kind of man I wanted to be, and then share that with others. I mean, what could you not like about the job? If you had a good coach in a baseball team, okay, the coach would sit down before the game and say, okay, or as part of the training, whatever, and say, okay, now this is going to be a tough game. I want to ask you a question. Do you want to walk off this team winners? Walk off this field as winners? The kids would say, oh yeah, of course. Okay. So we only have to figure out two things: how we're going to walk off as winners if we win, and how we're going to walk off as winners if we lose. And those are the two things we have to figure out.
That's great.
Now, that question alone stretches a kid's imagination. I mean, I can lose.
Yeah.
I can lose and walk off the field a winner. Yeah, you can lose and walk off the field a winner. And that's what you begin to open up. That's what you begin to allow kids to confront their own lack of imagination, rather than acting as though it's fact and set in stone. Somebody said the other day, how are you? And I said, well, I'm trying to fill my life with so much love and light that the tumor has no place to grow. And it just has no place to grow. So it's just, I can't tell you what a joyful experience it is, what an opportunity it is. It's just wonderful. My kids I said to them very early, I said, just so you know, I mean, we started those conversations at 12 and 14. I just said, just so you know, I mean, death, we talk about death. And I said, I'm probably going to take my own life. And whatever we talk about that. They say, Dad, do we have to talk about this? I'd say, no, only until you're comfortable with it. After you're comfortable with it, we don't have to talk about it anymore. But until you're comfortable with the fact that this is real and it's not something we have to be afraid of. And if we can do it well, just the way you can do it well, just the way you can do anything else well. It's not something different. It's not something. It's just it's this great, the five Buddhist things about, we are of the nature to become sick. It is our nature to die. It's our nature to be separated from other people. It's just the nature of things, But we get so afraid we want to take control of things we can't take control of. I mean, that's what I love, the serenity prayer. God grant me God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And just to accept what I can't change. I mean, it's okay. I don't have to control everything. There's this thing called the universe out there that seems to have some kind of a handle on things.
Yeah.
The cowboy wants to go on that 50-mile bike ride. Yesterday, my son and I went out on a bike ride. And that was one of the things on my bucket list, because I bought a new bike for him that we had both on e-bikes. So that was one of the things and then we got caught in a rainstorm, just the way you did when you were 9 years old.
Yeah.
We got soaked. I mean, we got soaked. But that was on my bucket list, man. Just to come home in the rain and the warm rain and walk in the house and take off your clothes and just be
Perfect.
It was perfect. It was just that's the cowboy. The
Yeah.
cowboy said, we're not gonna hide under a tree. We're gonna be in the I want to get soaked. I haven't done that since I was 16 years old, or being on a camping trip in the middle of Lake on Bagog somewhere, and all of a sudden the skies open up and there was no place to go. You were
Yeah.
just going to get soaked. That was it,
Yeah.
baby
Yeah.
cakes. You were going to
Absolutely.
get soaked.
Absolutely.
And you could either, so you're going to get soaked. You want to enjoy it or you want to be angry the rest of the way across the lake. And those choices all the time choices all the time.